Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon, not here with Geeky Sparkles. I'm going to talk about RAM prices and consoles, and it looks like the next generation of consoles could potentially be delayed because of the insane cost of RAM current year. Now, we know why the RAM prices are going sky high. At least the official story is it's because of AI. That AI is sucking up all the RAM, sucking up all the storage, that they're basically building bot farms all over the place, robot factories. And that's where all the RAM is going. Anyone who's been paying attention would realize that RAM prices, consumer RAM prices, are going through the roof right now. I've seen RAM that was, $500-$600 now go for $1,200, $1,400. I've got another example here later in the video that's just absolutely insane. It's hitting solid state drives too. So of course it's going to affect consoles. Now, this article from Insider Gaming is talking about the PlayStation 6 and whatever the hell the next Xbox is going to be. I'm going to tell you, I don't think there's going to be another Xbox. I mean, I could be wrong. But it does not look promising right now, given the state of Xbox, that they are down 70% from last year, that they haven't even sold 2 million units worldwide this year, and Microsoft is not in the business of losing money. And it would cost a lot of money to put another console out there, and then if you have to charge, $1,500, $1,700 for a console, at that point you just buy a gaming PC. And I think this is what's happening with the Steam machine too. The reason we're not seeing the Steam machine any faster is because of the RAM prices, and that's supposedly what delayed the announcement of Half-Life 3. They're talking that Half-Life 3 might be a Steam machine exclusive or a launch title, and they were going to announce it, I guess, at the Game Awards, and then they didn't because they don't know how much this damn Steam machine is going to cost. So let's talk about this before we get into it any further. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. Go out to more.clownfishtv.com. That's more.clownfishtv.com for more Clownfish TV. We've got more podcasts out there. We're going to be ramping things up going into 2026. This is coming from insidergaming.com. RAM price increases could see next generation console releases delayed. Okay. Insider Gaming has learned that the ongoing price increases in RAM due to the rise in AI could delay the next generation of console releases. We first mentioned the rumor during our Insider Gaming weekly episode on December 19th, where we mentioned that we had heard there were already ongoing talks at the high levels on what the RAM availability could mean for the next generation. From what we've heard, the industry as a whole is concerned about RAM availability, as they should be, and what that's going to mean for mass producing consoles at a competitive price point. That is the thing. You can make them, but if you're charging $1,500 for a console, who the hell is going to buy it? Right? You can buy a laptop, a nice laptop. Well, you could. A year ago, you could buy a nice laptop for $1,500. Not only for the next generation, but it could also mean that yet more price increases for current generation consoles will hit us in 2026. Good luck with that. Good luck with that. If they raise the prices of the consoles again, I think we're going to see a massive uptick in retro gaming. I think that's what killed console sales this year. Even the Switch 2. The Switch 2 sold really well out of the gate, but people aren't buying it like Nintendo wanted them to, as far as I can tell. And a lot of people said they're holding off on it. The Xbox had 2 price increases this year, and it's a 5-year-old console. You're going backwards. That's not how this works, right? And at this point, people are going to be like, you know what? I am completely fine with my current generation tech. I think there's going to be a massive uptick in retro gaming in 2026. I think people are going to realize they don't need constantly a more powerful machine every couple of years, because a lot of the games that are the most popular games right now could be run on a potato, right? I mean, I'm seriously, some of these games that are super popular, you can run them on 10, 15-year-old tech. You don't need the latest thing. Monopoly still works, right? Monopoly's what, like 100 years old at this point almost? And Monopoly still works. They've tried upgrading Monopoly. They've got fancier Monopoly and millennial Monopoly and, licensed Monopoly and all that. But the board game still functions as intended. Poker cards, a deck of cards still function as intended. you don't need fancier. We don't need to have like digital poker or whatever. I mean, you can have it, but people like just like that, open a deck of cards and play a game. And I think that's what's going to happen with video games, at least with consoles. I think we're going to get to a place where this is the sufficient level of tech needed for enjoyable games, and then we can focus on making the most enjoyable games within those parameters. And this is tech that is available to everybody at a good price. I mean, ideally, I would love to see a super popular console that was $150. It was a plug and play couch console, and that's it. And everybody's using it. Everybody's playing it. You take it to your friend's house. You have friends over. If you want to go online, fine, but that's not what it's designed for. And I think that is a sufficient level of technology. And then you've always got the people that want the latest, greatest, most realistic thing. But again, the games that people are playing right now are not the hyper realistic games. Just because you can do something, it doesn't mean it's going to add any value to the product. Just because you can add or double the RAM doesn't mean that everybody's going to go buy this console to play this game with really fancy graphics if the game is shit. And we've seen this with AAA titles this year, especially last 2 years. These games with these incredible graphics that were just dog shit games and nobody played them. Instead, they're going back and playing, Grand Theft Auto from like freaking 10, 15 years ago. They're going back and playing retro games. How is it that the Arkham games, the Batman Arkham games from 10, 15 years ago look better than Suicide Squad? And you can run them on an older computer. You can run them on your Nintendo Switch, for God's sake. You know what I'm saying? So I think we're going to hit a cap on it. And I think that's what's going to happen. I think people are going to look at the price tag and be like, yeah, I'm good with my PS5. I'm good with my Switch 1. I don't need to upgrade again. I think the console wars in that regard are over. I don't think people are going to be chasing the latest, greatest thing anymore. I think they're going to be like, what does the job and what is the most fun? Which console is the most consumer friendly? Which is the easiest to use? Which has the best games? And we're just going to kind of get stuck in that rut, I guess. But, I mean, this isn't like it was back in the 90s, 80s, 90s, where every generation there was a significant increase, visible, audible increase in game technology, right? You went from Atari to, the NES, to the Super NES, Genesis era, then the PlayStation and Saturn. In every generation, you could see a massive increase in the capabilities of the hardware. We've pretty much hit the ceiling, I think. And it doesn't add anything to the enjoyment of the games. That's my feeling on it. I think we're going to see a massive uptick in retro gaming. Anyway, back to the article. RAM modules have increased in price by several 100% in the past few months due to the demand for AI. And with the pursuit of AI seemingly not going away anytime soon, RAM availability could continue to bottleneck, or at the very least, the RAM shortage will mean that prices will continue to hike. See also VR during the pandemic. We had a hell of a time getting a VR to play Half-Life Alyx at the beginning of the pandemic. We wound up getting a Samsung because that was the only thing we could get. But yeah, they were expensive. And graphics cards, because of Bitcoin, mining Bitcoin, they were expensive. We opened our gaming center. I talked about this. We had an esports center. We opened around 2020, 2021. Our computers were hella expensive. But they kind of offset the cost because we mine crypto at night so like when the gaming center would close, all the computers would be on, they'd be mining crypto. And that's how I justified the cost. But does anybody do that now? I mean, it was only a couple of years ago, so this will probably pass too. This leaves console producers in a very tricky spot moving forward. While consoles have traditionally been subsidized to a certain extent in the past, it seems like RAM availability and price increases will mean that the next generation of consoles, which were already believed to be much higher in price than previous generations, could be extortionate. Wow. Then don't buy them. From what we understand, the situation has led console manufacturers to debate whether the next generation of consoles should be delayed from their intended 2027, 2028 release window, with the hope that RAM manufacturers will be able to build out their infrastructure. Regardless of what happens, though, it seems like the next couple of years could be the current generation of consoles, could see the current generation of consoles increase in price. Good luck with that, right? I think people are just going to stick with what they got. I mean, this is crazy too. This is coming from Pirate Nation. He said that Micro Center lists an 8 terabyte WD Black SSD drive at $2,400. Hold on, let's refresh this. $2,400. Up 50% since October. Pricing surges on high-capacity solid-state drives in response to AI demand. I noticed that everything has gone up. Now, I'm sitting on like a stockpile of parts because we did shut the gaming center down. So I got like it's driving geeky nuts. The office is just cluttered with PCs and RAM and hard drives. I've been taking out of machines and building up different machines and mixing and matching, kind of like Frankenstein over here. But yeah, I mean, we're good for now. Like, thank God we don't need to buy any more systems. But if you had to go buy a computer for whatever, even if just for work or whatever, you're going to pay through the nose. I mean, it's insane. But $2,400 for an 8 terabyte drive. Wow. It's all going to go up, guys. I think all this stuff is going to go up. But yeah, I mean, I think we need to work with what we got. I think this is it. I don't think there's any more enjoyment to be had from a better machine at this point. I mean, I know people have said that in the past. Like, you don't need a Genesis. Nintendo's fine. Yeah, I know people have said that in the past, but we are literally at the point right now where the games people are finding maximum enjoyment from are running on older tech, or they have, relatively low specs requirements, So I don't know. Just a thought. So maybe we'll just stop buying new consoles. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm going to wrap it up. Please subscribe. We'll talk later.